Meanwhile, listen to this story. Ever wonder why so many people in Congress are super rich? Well, lawmakers like House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi apparently made a killing on stock trades and land deals by using inside information that they get in Congress. 60 Minutes set off this firestorm when they confronted Nancy Pelosi. Let's watch.
What I'm asking is, do you think it's all right for a speaker to accept a very preferential and favorable stock deal?
Well, we didn't.
You participated in the IPO.
Well, I have many
and at the time you were Speaker of the House. You don't think it was a conflict of interest or had the appearance of a conflict of interest?
It only has the appearance if you decide that you're going to have elaborate on a false premise. But it's not true, and that's that.
I don't understand what part's not true.
Yes, sir. That I would act upon an investment.
Peter Schweizer broke this story. He's a fellow at the Hoover Institute and the author of the new book, Throw Them All Out. Good morning, Peter.
Hey, good morning.
Just to expound on what that exchange was with 60 Minutes, Nancy Pelosi bought shares of Visa, the credit card, at this initial public offering for a bargain basement price of $44 a share, I believe. Shortly after that, it doubled. What's illegal about that? What's wrong with that?
Well, there's nothing illegal about it, but I think there's something wrong with it. Let me give you this example. Let's assume for a second you're a United States Senator, and I come into your office. If I give you $10,000 cash in small bills and we get caught, one or both of us is going to jail. It's called bribery. But if I come to you as a senator and say, hey, I'm going to give you access to IPO shares of stock. You can buy them cheap, and it'll make you $100,000 in one day. That's completely legal, and I think that's wrong.
And furthermore, at the same time that she was cashing in on this initial public offering, there was legislation that would have hurt credit cards and Visa going through the House or through Congress. Is that a conflict of interest?
I think it's a massive conflict of interest. She and her husband accumulated between $1 and $5 million worth of Visa stock. And what you need to know on the credit card reform issue is that Visa, it's not the bank that issues the credit card. They don't make money on interest rates or penalty. Visa makes its money on what's called the swipe fee. You go to a restaurant, the restaurant pays 3% to Visa for the use of the card. The credit card reform legislation that Nancy Pelosi pushed and supported had nothing to do with swipe fees. It did not affect Visa. There were two other bills, one that had come out of committee with bipartisan support. It never made it to the House floor because she wouldn't bring it to the House floor. It was delayed for more than 2 years. Swipe fees were eventually became part of the reform package when they were introduced on the Senate side, not on her side.
Let's be very clear. This is hardly just Nancy Pelosi.
That's
I mean,
correct.
we're focusing on it today because 60 Minutes, she was one of the three, I believe, that 60 Minutes focused on. However, this is a bipartisan issue. Members of Congress get all sorts of insider information, and they then capitalize on it. Why aren't there laws against this?
Well, part of it is because they write the laws and they like it this way. You know, the fact is that you get probably the best stock information if you're a senior member of Congress or a United States Senator, because you get private briefings from the Fed chairman, from the Treasury Secretary. During the financial crisis of 2008, in September 18th, there was such a private briefing before the market really tanked. They gave an apocalyptic briefing to about a dozen lawmakers. The next day, a lot of those lawmakers dumped all of their stock or lots of their stock. Some even bought leveraged options that bet against the market and made a killing.
This is why Congress's approval ratings are so low, because there's a general feeling, even if people don't know the details that you outline so well in your book, there's a general feeling that Congress doesn't operate the way the rest of us have to.
Yeah, it's true.
And there's all sorts of examples. In Nancy Pelosi, there's more than just this Visa IPO. Let's spell out a couple other questionable deals. She bought $100,000 of stock in clean energy fuels, and also at an initial public offering. That's a select group of people that gets chosen for these IPOs. Pushed a number then of those pushed for over $750 million in taxpayer cash to fix up areas of San Francisco near her investment property. And there are lots of examples of members of Congress who have land deals that they capitalize on after getting insider information.
Yeah, it's amazing. And again, it's all completely legal, and the ethics committees have said it's ethical. If you were a United States Senator, you can literally buy a piece of farmland somewhere, then put money in an earmark into the highway bill to build a road code running right by it, and then you can turn around and sell it in less than a year and double your money. That has been done numerous times. So they're using our money to increase the value of their real estate investments.
What is the answer, Peter?
The answer is throw them all out, meaning both sides need to have a zero tolerance policy. Even if one of your guys is doing this, I think we need to have a zero tolerance policy, and we need to change some of the laws. If you're on the Senate Banking Committee, you should not be trading bank stocks. And in terms of earmarks, you should not be able to use earmarks that in any way increase the value or holdings of your investments.
Can we also turn our attention now to Warren Buffett?
Yeah.
There's a story about how he helped basically construct the bailouts that then he was able to cash in on. How did that work?
Well, you know, this is another problem. Warren Buffett was advising first the Bush administration and then particularly the Obama administration in early 2009, and he helped put together what was called the Public-Private Partnership for the Treasury Department. This was a 5-page letter that he wrote explaining how we structure the bailout of the banks, and he had numerous meetings with Tim Geithner and others. Well, while he was doing this, Warren Buffett was buying literally millions of shares in bank stock, the very banks that were going to end up getting bailed out by this public-private partnership. This is not illegal, but I think it's highly unethical, and it's the sort of insider dealing where he to do this in the private sector, it would be regarded as insider trading and he'd be in trouble. But because it uses taxpayer money, for some reason it's deemed to not apply.
And once again, it's also sort of betting against the country.
Yes, it is. You know, and that's a great, using the term betting, that's the problem with this. We would not tolerate in our country for a second an athlete betting on a game that they are involved in. Nobody would want Michael Jordan betting for or against the Chicago Bulls when he's playing for them. But that's really what's going on here. You have either congressmen or very powerful individuals like Mr. Buffett who are betting, placing bets on a game where they are determining the outcome. But the stakes are a lot higher here than any sports event.
We do want to say, bring in Nancy Pelosi's side. Her spokesperson issued a statement to try to contradict all this. She says, Leader Pelosi has been in the lead advocating for Congress to act in the public interest and not in the special interest. Schweitzer's claims are an effort to revise history and are completely contradicted by Leader Pelosi's clear record. She says she's been out front fighting the credit cards.
She's been fighting the credit card banks, but not Visa itself. And that's what they're trying to obfuscate on. They did nothing dealing with what matters to Visa, which is these swipe fees.
Well, Peter Schweitzer, the book is Throw Them All Out. Lots of people agree with that mantra. The book is a fascinating read. Thanks so much for coming in and sharing the details with us.
Thanks for having me.